I poured my soul into my son's Napa Valley wedding, only to find my face mocked on the door, branded with no entry like a criminal. His fiancée spat, "Get out, Susan, you're nothing here." My son? He stood there, silent, as my heart was ripped apart, bleeding with a pain so raw I thought I'd die. I'd spent months planning Ethan's wedding, pouring every ounce of my heart into making it perfect. Napa Valley's rolling vineyards, with their golden glow, were his dream venue, a $75,000 dream I made real. I wrote checks for the sprawling estate, Claire's Vera Wang gown, the 5-tier cake, even the string quartet she insisted on. I worked overtime, 60-hour weeks at the accounting firm, my back aching, my savings dwindling, all to see my only son smile on his big day. I'd raised Ethan alone after his father left, scraping by to pay for his college, his first car, his every dream. This wedding was my gift. My love poured into every detail. But Claire? She barely thanked me. Her texts were cold. "Susan, we need a bigger floral arch. Make it happen." Ethan, my boy, just nodded along, his eyes glued to his phone. I swallowed the hurt, thinking it was wedding stress. I kept quiet when Claire snapped at me during a venue walkthrough, calling my suggestions outdated. I told myself it was fine, she'd see my heart in the end. Now, standing in that Napa Valley parking lot, the sting of Claire's words, "Get out, Susan, you're nothing here," burned deeper. Ethan's silence cut worst of all. My hands shook as I gripped my purse, the weight of those $75,000 checks crushing me. I'd given everything, and they'd thrown me away. Alone in the dark, I felt a spark of anger ignite. They thought they could humiliate me and still dance in my dream? They were wrong. I drove home from that Napa Valley parking lot, the sting of Claire's sneer and Ethan's silence clawing at my chest. The 30-mile journey felt endless, each mile a reminder of the $75,000 I'd poured into their dream wedding, now a nightmare. My modest ranch house in Santa Rosa, the one I'd paid off through years of overtime, welcomed me with its quiet hum. I sank onto the worn leather couch, the same one Ethan used to sprawl across as a boy, laughing at old sitcom reruns. That memory felt like a lifetime ago. Now, my phone buzzed relentlessly, a cruel reminder of the world I'd been cast out from. The first message was from Ethan. My heart leapt, hoping for an apology, a shred of the boy I'd raised. Instead, his words sliced deeper than Claire's public humiliation. "Mom, you embarrassed us at the rehearsal. Claire's right, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Just stay away tomorrow." I stared at the screen, my breath catching. Stay away? From the wedding I'd funded with every paycheck, every sleepless night? I'd sacrificed vacations, new clothes, even my own dreams to give Ethan everything. And now, my own son was banishing me. Before I could process the pain, another notification flashed. Claire had posted on a local Napa Valley wedding forum, her words dripping with venom. "Susan Harper is a controlling, bitter mother who tried to ruin our big day. She's obsessed with making everything about her." The post had 47 likes, comments piling up like vultures circling a corpse. "What a toxic mom," one stranger wrote. "Cut her off, Claire. You deserve better," said another. My hands trembled as I scrolled, each word a fresh wound. I'd spent months coordinating with vendors, agonizing over Claire's endless demands for peonies and crystal chandeliers, only to be painted as a villain in a public square. I set the phone down and walked to the bookshelf, pulling out an old photo album, its pages crinkled, heavy with memories. There was Ethan at 5, grinning in his Little League uniform, my hands clapping from the bleachers. At 16, his arm around me at his high school graduation, my eyes red from pride and exhaustion after working double shifts to pay his tuition. I'd built a life around him, every choice shaped by love. Now, that love felt like a noose. Tears spilled down my cheeks, hot and unstoppable. I wasn't just unwanted, I was erased. The phone buzzed again, Another message from Ethan, colder this time. Mom, Claire's upset. You're stressing everyone out. Don't come to the wedding. It's better this way. Better? The word echoed in my skull, each syllable a hammer against my heart. I pictured Claire, smirking as she typed her lies. Ethan nodding along like a puppet. My boy, the one I'd rocked through fevers, the one I'd cheered at every game, had chosen her over me. I clutched the album to my chest, sobs racking my body. The pain was a living thing, clawing at my insides, deeper than anything I'd ever felt. It wasn't just betrayal, it was annihilation. I stumbled to the kitchen, the room where I'd packed Ethan's lunches, helped with his homework, dreamed of his future. The wedding binder sat on the counter, its tabs meticulously labeled. Venue, caterer, florist. Each page bore my signature, my credit card number, my life savings. I flipped through it, the weight of my sacrifice crushing me anew. Claire's voice rang in my head. You're nothing here. Ethan's silence screamed louder. I'd given them everything, and they'd turned me into a stranger. But as the tears slowed, something shifted. The pain, raw and unbearable, began to harden into something else. Anger. Not the fleeting kind, but a deep, molten fury that burned away the fog of grief. They thought they could erase me, slander me, and still waltz down the aisle on my dime. Number. I slammed the binder shut, my hands steady for the first time that night. I wasn't the weak, discarded mother they imagined. I was Susan Harper, the woman who'd built a life from nothing, who'd carried her son through every storm. They'd crossed a line, and I was done bending. Tomorrow, they'd learn what happens when you break the one person holding your world together. The kitchen clock ticked past midnight, its steady rhythm a cruel contrast to the storm raging inside me. I stood frozen at the counter, the wedding binder glaring up at me like a betrayal etched in ink. Its pages held my life's blood, $75,000 of my savings, every cent scraped from years of 60-hour weeks at the accounting firm in Santa Rosa. The Napa Valley venue, Claire's Vera Wang gown, the imported peonies she demanded, they were all there, each tab a testament to my love for Ethan. But love hadn't been enough. Claire's venomous post on that wedding forum, calling me a bitter, controlling mother, burned in my mind. Ethan's messages, "Stay away, Mom. It's better this way," stabbed deeper, each word a fresh betrayal from the boy I'd raised alone. I gripped the counter, my knuckles white, trying to choke back the sobs that threatened to break me again. The pain was a living beast, clawing at my heart, but something else stirred beneath it. Anger, not the fleeting kind that fades with tears, but a deep, searing fury that felt like fire in my veins. I'd given Ethan everything: my youth, my dreams, my savings, and he'd stood silent as Claire branded me an outcast. They'd turned my sacrifice into a mockery, my love into a punching bag. No more. I flipped open the binder, my hands trembling not with grief but with purpose. The contracts stared back, each one bearing my name, my signature, my credit card number. The Napa Valley estate, $30,000. The caterer, $15,000. The florist, $8,000. Every line was a reminder. This wedding wasn't theirs. It was mine. I'd built it brick by brick, and they thought they could spit in my face and still dance in my dream? Not on my dime, I whispered, my voice low and steady like a vow. I reached for my phone, ignoring the unread texts from Ethan and Claire. Their words, Claire's accusations, Ethan's cold dismissal had lost their power. I scrolled to the contact for Emily, the wedding planner I'd spent months emailing about table settings and guest lists. My thumb hovered over her number. A part of me, the part that had spent 30 years smoothing over Ethan's mistakes, hesitated. What if I was wrong? What if this was too far? But then I saw Claire's smirk in my mind, heard Ethan's silence, and the hesitation burned away. I hit call. Emily answered on the second ring, her voice bright despite the late hour. Susan, hi, just finalizing the seating chart for tomorrow. Everything okay? I took a deep breath, the air sharp in my lungs. Emily, I'm canceling everything. A stunned silence followed. I'm sorry, Susan, did you say cancel? Her voice faltered, professional cheer giving way to confusion. Yes, I said, my tone hard as steel. The venue, the caterer, the flowers, the music, all of it. I'm pulling every payment. Emily stammered. But Susan, the contract's tomorrow's the wedding. Are you sure? I pictured Claire's smug face, Ethan's averted eyes. I've never been more sure. I paid for it. I'm done. I ended the call, my heart pounding but my hands steady. The kitchen felt different now, no longer a shrine to my sacrifices but a battlefield where I was taking back my power. I opened my laptop, pulling up emails from the vendors. Every contract was in my name, every deposit drawn from my account. Claire and Ethan had contributed nothing but demands and disdain. They thought they could erase me and still claim my gift? They were about to learn how wrong they were. I stood taller, the weight of their betrayal lifting with each breath. The pain that had nearly broken me was forging something new, a resolve as unyielding as the oak table before me. I wasn't the broken mother they'd cast aside. I was Susan Harper, the woman who'd built a life from ashes, who'd carried her son through every storm. They'd pushed me too far, and now they'd face the consequences. I closed the laptop with a sharp snap, my eyes burning with determination. Tomorrow, their fairy tale would crumble, and I'd be the one holding the hammer. The kitchen was my war room now, the oak table a battleground where I'd reclaim my dignity. The wedding binder lay open, its pages a map of my sacrifices, $75,000 in checks, each one a piece of my heart signed away for Ethan's happiness. But that heart had been trampled, first by Claire's sneer in Napa Valley, then by Ethan's cold texts banishing me from the wedding I'd built. The fury that had sparked in me hours ago, as I slammed that binder shut, now burned steady, a white-hot flame guiding my every move. I wasn't Susan Harper, the discarded mother, anymore. I was the woman who'd clawed her way through life to give her son everything. And I'd be damned if I let them dance on my grave. I grabbed my phone, its screen still glowing with Ethan's last message. Don't come, Mom. It's better this way. I swiped it away and dialed the Napa Valley Estates manager, Tom. The line rang once, twice, before his calm voice answered. Susan, everything set for tomorrow? He asked, oblivious to the storm I was unleashing. No, Tom, I said, my voice sharp as a blade. I'm canceling the Harper-Bennett wedding, effective immediately. A pause stretched across the line, heavy with shock. Cancel? Susan, the deposit $30,000, it's non-refundable, and the event's in 12 hours. I cut him off. I paid it. I signed the contract. I'm within my rights. Cancel it. My words were iron, unyielding. Tom stammered. I'll need to confirm with the couple, I snapped. The contract's in my name, Tom. Not theirs. Do it. A reluctant, understood, was all he could muster before I hung up. Next, the florist, a sweet woman named Marla who'd spent weeks sourcing Claire's precious peonies. Susan, hi, she chirped. The bouquets are ready gorgeous, just like you wanted. I took a breath, steadying myself. Marla, I'm sorry, but I'm canceling the order, all $8,000 of it. Her gasp was audible. Susan, what happened? The wedding's tomorrow. I clenched my jaw, Claire's forum post flashing in my mind, calling me bitter, controlling. They don't want me there, I said, my voice low, so they don't get my flowers. Marla tried to protest, but I ended the call, my pulse pounding with a strange, fierce clarity. The caterer was next. I'd spent $15,000 on their gourmet menu, down to the lobster Claire insisted was non-negotiable. When I told them to pull out, the manager sputtered. But we've prepped for 150 guests. Can you reconsider? I didn't waver. I paid the deposit. I'm canceling. That's final. Each call was a brick pulled from the foundation of their fairy tale, and with every dial tone I felt my spine straighten. The band, the photographer, the lighting company, $22,000 more in contracts, all in my name, all canceled with the same cold precision. I'm Susan Harper, I said each time, my voice growing stronger. The contract holder. Terminate the agreement. By the time I hung up on the last vendor, the string quartet Claire had gushed over. My hands no longer shook. The kitchen clock read 1:30 a.m., but I was wide awake, adrenaline coursing through me like a river. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the binder, now a relic of a dream I'd let them shatter. They'd wanted me gone, erased from their perfect day, but they'd forgotten who held the strings. Every vendor, every detail, every dollar, it was mine. Claire's smug face, Ethan's averted eyes, they'd built their castle on my back, and I'd just torn it down. I allowed myself a small, bitter smile. Tomorrow they'd wake expecting their Napa Valley fantasy, complete with peonies and lobster. Instead, they'd find nothing. No venue, no flowers, no music, just the wreckage of their own arrogance. I closed the binder, its weight no longer crushing but empowering. They thought they could humiliate me and still claim my gift? They were about to learn the cost of their betrayal. But as I set the phone down, a new sound broke the silence, a sharp knock at the door. My heart lurched. It was 2 a.m., too late for visitors. I peered through the blinds, my breath catching as I saw Ethan's car parked crookedly in my Santa Rosa driveway. Another knock, louder now. "Mom, open the door." His voice was sharp, edged with panic. I stood frozen, the fire in my veins flaring hotter. Let him wait. Let him feel the weight of what he'd done. The battle I'd started wasn't over yet. Ethan's knocks thundered through my Santa Rosa home, each one a desperate plea that only fueled my resolve. The clock on the kitchen wall read 2:15 a.m., the silence of the night shattered by his voice. "Mom, open the damn door!" he shouted, his words slurring with panic and rage. I stood still, my bare feet cold against the tile floor, the wedding binder a silent witness on the oak table. I'd just torn down their $75,000 Napa Valley fairy tale venue. Flowers, caterer, all canceled with my name on every contract. Claire's venomous forum post and Ethan's cruel texts had pushed me too far. They'd branded me an outcast, but now their perfect day lay in ruins, and I wasn't about to let them drag me back into their chaos. Another knock, sharper this time. "Mom, I know you're in there. What the hell have you done?" Ethan's voice cracked, a mix of fury and fear. I peered through the blinds, catching his silhouette pacing in the dim glow of my porch light, his hair disheveled, his fists clenched. For a moment, I saw the boy who'd clung to me during thunderstorms, but that boy was gone. The man outside was a stranger who'd let Claire humiliate me, who'd told me to stay away from the wedding I'd funded with my life savings. I let the blinds snap shut, my heart pounding but my resolve unbreakable. My phone buzzed violently on the counter, lighting up with Claire's name. A string of texts flooded the screen, each one dripping with venom. "You're a spiteful old hag, Susan," the first read. "You think you can ruin our lives and get away with it?" Another. "Ethan's a wreck because of you. You're no mother." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that echoed in the empty kitchen. No mother? I'd worked 60-hour weeks to pay for Ethan's college, his car, his dreams. I'd spent $30,000 on their venue, $15,000 on their menu, $8,000 on Claire's precious peonies, only to have my face plastered on a door with no entry scrawled across it. And now? I was the villain? I ignored the texts, but the phone rang seconds later, Ethan again. Against my better judgment, I answered, my voice cold as ice. "What do you want, Ethan?" His breath was ragged, his words tumbling out in a frantic rush. "Mom, the venue just called. They said you canceled everything. The caterer, the band, everything's gone. How could you do this to us?" I gripped the phone, Claire's sneer flashing in my mind. You did this, I said, my voice steady despite the fire in my chest. You let Claire humiliate me in front of everyone. You told me to stay away. You don't get to play victim now. Ethan's voice rose, sharp and accusing. You're blowing this out of proportion. Claire was stressed, okay? She didn't mean it. You're ruining our lives over one stupid moment. Stupid moment? The words hit like a slap. One moment? I snapped, my voice trembling with rage. I paid for your fairy tale, Ethan. Every cent. And you stood there while she called me nothing. You're not my son anymore. A long silence followed, his breathing heavy on the line. Mom, please, he finally whispered, his voice breaking. Fix this. We can't lose everything. I laughed again, colder this time. Fix it yourself, I said, and hung up. The knocking stopped, replaced by the screech of tires as Ethan's car sped out of my driveway. I sank into a chair, the weight of my words settling like stones in my stomach. But I didn't regret them. They'd thought they could erase me and still claim my gift. They were wrong. My phone buzzed again, Claire, this time with a voicemail. I played it, her voice syrupy sweet, a stark contrast to her texts. Susan, let's talk. I'm sorry things got heated at the rehearsal. Can we work this out? The guests are expecting a wedding. I deleted it before she finished, her fake tears as hollow as her promises. I stood and walked to the window, staring into the dark. The fury that had driven me to cancel the wedding still burned, but now it was tempered with a strange clarity. They weren't just entitled, they were desperate. Claire's texts, Ethan's pleas, they reeked of panic, as if they knew their world was crumbling without my money to prop it up. I'd given them everything, and they'd repaid me with betrayal. But I wasn't done yet. As dawn crept over the horizon, my phone pinged with an email, not from Claire or Ethan, but from a name I didn't recognize. Sunset Pines Senior Care. My stomach twisted. The subject line read, Inquiry regarding Susan Harper's residency. I opened it, my hands shaking, and read the words that would change everything. Dear Miss Bennett, we confirm your request to reserve a place for Susan Harper post-wedding. Please provide additional documentation for her transfer. Claire. Ethan. They weren't just after my money. They were planning to lock me away in a nursing home. To strip me of my home, my freedom, my life. The kitchen was still, the dawn light creeping through the blinds of my Santa Rosa home, casting long shadows across the oak table. Ethan's frantic knocks and Claire's venomous texts from hours ago lingered like ghosts, but the fire in my veins burned hotter than ever. I'd just obliterated their $75,000 Napa Valley wedding venue, flowers, caterer, all gone because they dared to brand me an outcast with my face on a door marked, No Entry. Their betrayal had cut deep, but I thought I'd seen the worst. I was wrong. As I sat, exhausted but unyielding, my phone pinged with an email that would shatter what little faith I had left in my son. The sender was Sunset Pines Senior Care, a name I didn't recognize. The subject line stopped my heart. Inquiry regarding Susan Harper's residency. My hands shook as I opened it, the words blurring on the screen. Dear Miss Bennett, it began. We confirm your request to reserve a place for Susan Harper post-wedding. Please provide documentation for her transfer to our facility. I read it again, my breath shallow, hoping I'd misunderstood. Claire had inquired about locking me away in a nursing home. My home, the one I'd paid off over 20 years, worth $1.2 million, flashed in my mind its garden where Ethan once played, its walls filled with our memories. They weren't just after my money, they wanted my freedom, my life. I scrolled further, my stomach churning. Attached was a form, pre-filled with my name, birth date, and medical history. All details only Ethan could know. A note from Claire read, Urgent. Need to finalize Susan's admission by next week to secure the estate transfer. Estate transfer. My home, my sanctuary was their target. I pictured Claire's smug smile, Ethan's averted eyes, plotting to strip me of everything while I funded their fairy tale. The pain was a knife, twisting deeper than their wedding betrayal. I'd raised Ethan alone, worked 60-hour weeks to give him a future, only for him to conspire with Claire to cage me like some frail, expendable burden. I grabbed my laptop, hands trembling with rage, and searched for Sunset Pines. Their website boasted luxury senior living in Napa County, $10,000 a month for a private suite. A quick check of my bank account confirmed no charges yet, but the intent was clear. They'd planned to ship me off, sell my home, and pocket the proceeds. My pulse pounded, each beat a drum of fury. I'd canceled their wedding, but this was worse, a calculated heist of my dignity. I dialed Margaret Walsh, my lawyer of 10 years, her number a lifeline in the storm. She answered on the first ring, her voice calm but sharp. "Susan, what's wrong?" "It's 6 a.m. "Margaret," I said, my voice cracking but resolute. "Claire and Ethan are trying to put me in a nursing home. They're after my house, $1.2 million. I just found an email from Sunset Pines." A stunned silence followed. "Send it to me," Margaret said, her tone hardening. "This is serious. If they've used your personal information without consent, we're talking fraud, maybe elder abuse." I forwarded the email, my fingers moving with a precision born of anger. "What can we do?" I asked, gripping the phone. "We start with a cease and desist letter," Margaret replied. "Then we investigate. If they've taken steps to transfer your estate, we'll sue. You're not helpless, Susan." Her words were a lifeline, pulling me from despair to action. I hung up, my mind racing. I opened my banking app, checking for any unauthorized activity. Nothing yet, but I froze my accounts, a precaution Margaret had taught me years ago. I pictured Ethan signing those forms, Claire whispering in his ear, their greed laid bare. The boy I'd rocked through sleepless nights, the son I'd cheered at every game, had become a stranger plotting to steal my home. The pain was raw, but the fury was sharper, cutting through the fog of betrayal. I wasn't their victim anymore. I stood, pacing the kitchen, my bare feet slapping the cold tile. The wedding was gone, but this new betrayal demanded more than cancellations. I needed to protect myself, my home, my future. Margaret's words echoed. "You're not helpless." I clung to them, my resolve hardening like steel. Claire and Ethan thought they could bury me in a nursing home and walk away with my life's work. They were about to learn how fiercely I'd fight. As I sat back down, my phone buzzed with a new notification, a Facebook post from a Napa Valley community group. My name was tagged, the words leaping off the screen. Did Susan Harper really fund the Harper Bennett wedding just to be kicked out? What's the real story? The truth was starting to slip out, and with it, the first cracks in Claire and Ethan's perfect facade. The morning sun bathed my Santa Rosa kitchen in a soft golden glow, but the warmth couldn't touch the cold resolve that had settled in my bones. The email from Sunset Pines Senior Care still burned in my mind. Claire and Ethan's plan to lock me away in a nursing home, to steal my $1.2 million home, was a betrayal deeper than the wedding humiliation. I'd already torn down their $75,000 Napa Valley fairy tale, canceling every vendor from the venue to the string quartet, but their scheme to strip my freedom demanded more than silence. As I sipped my coffee, the bitter taste mirroring my mood, my phone buzzed with a new notification, a Facebook post from a Napa Valley community group, tagged with my name. The truth was clawing its way out, and Claire and Ethan were about to feel its weight. I opened the post, my heart pounding. A local caterer, one I'd paid $15,000 for Claire's lobster feast, had written, "Susan Harper funded the entire Harper Bennett wedding, down to the last napkin, only to be kicked out with her photo on the door. Now we hear they plan to put her in a nursing home? Disgraceful." Comments flooded in, each one a spark in the growing fire. "Who does that to their own mother?" one read. "Claire and Ethan should be ashamed." Another spat, I scrolled, my breath catching as a former neighbor chimed in. Susan raised Ethan alone, worked herself to the bone. This is how they repay her? The post had 200 shares, the outrage spreading like wildfire across Napa Valley's tight-knit circles. My phone buzzed again, Linda Carter, my sister-in-law, calling. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the decline button. Linda had always played peacemaker, but I wasn't in the mood for her soft words. Still, I answered, my voice flat. What is it, Linda? Her sigh was heavy, tinged with unease. Susan, I saw the posts. Everyone's talking about what Claire and Ethan did, the wedding, the nursing home. I had no idea it was this bad. I clenched my jaw, Claire's sneering face flashing in my mind. You thought I was overreacting, didn't you? I said, my tone sharp. You told me to let it go, to be the bigger person. Linda stammered. I didn't know about the nursing home, Susan. That's monstrous. I'm so sorry. I cut her off. Save your apologies. They made their choice. I hung up, my pulse racing, not with pain but with a fierce clarity. The community was seeing them for who they were: greedy, heartless, and I didn't need to say a word. Another notification pinged, this time from Instagram. Claire had posted a tearful selfie, her eyes red, her voice trembling in a video. We're devastated, she sobbed. Susan's lies are tearing us apart. We never meant to hurt anyone. Lies? The audacity burned like acid. I'd funded their wedding, endured their insults, and now faced their scheme to steal my home. Yet Claire dared to play the victim. Comments under her post were split. Some offered sympathy, but others weren't fooled. You put her picture on the door with no entry, one wrote. Now you're crying because she canceled your free ride? Another. Nursing home? That's low, even for you. The tide was turning, and Claire's crocodile tears couldn't stop it. I set the phone down, my hands steady for the first time in days. I didn't need to fight their lies, the truth was doing that for me. But I wasn't content to sit back. I opened Instagram, my fingers moving with purpose. I snapped a photo of the Napa Valley hills from a spa I'd treated myself to, the rolling vineyards glowing under the morning sun. I typed a caption, simple but sharp. Freedom tastes better than betrayal. I hit post, a quiet act of defiance. I wasn't shouting my story to the world, I didn't need to. The community was doing that. Their outrage a chorus that drowned out Claire's fake sobs. As I scrolled through the growing comments on the caterer's post, my phone rang again, an unknown number. I answered, wary. Susan, it's Paul Bennett, Claire's father. A gruff voice said. My stomach tightened. Paul had always been distant, too proud to engage with me during the wedding planning. Now his tone was pleading. Susan, I know things got out of hand, but canceling the wedding, airing this publicly, it's too much. Can we work this out? Claire's heartbroken. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Heartbroken? She planned to lock me in a nursing home, Paul. She and Ethan wanted my house. You think I owe them anything? Silence stretched across the line. I didn't know, he mumbled. Please, for the kids. I cut him off. They're not kids. They're thieves. Tell them to fix their own mess. I hung up, my heart pounding with a strange, exhilarating power. The social media storm was growing, posts and shares multiplying by the hour. Claire and Ethan's perfect image was crumbling, their guest list evaporating as friends and family turned away. I leaned back in my chair, the spa's serenity a stark contrast to the chaos I'd unleashed. But it wasn't over. The truth about their nursing home scheme was just beginning to spread. And soon, the whole world would know the depths of their betrayal. The Napa Valley sun dipped below the horizon, painting the vineyard hills in hues of amber and rose. I sat on the balcony of a boutique hotel, a glass of local Pinot Noir in hand, the gentle breeze carrying the scent of grapevines. My Santa Rosa home, the $1.2 million sanctuary Claire and Ethan had schemed to steal, was safe, locked tight by Margaret Walsh's legal maneuvers. The wedding I'd funded $75,000 of my life savings was nothing but ashes now, cancelled with a few phone calls that had left Claire's smugness and Ethan's silence in ruins. The pain of their betrayal, from the no-entry sign on the Napa Valley venue door to their nursing home plot, had carved a hole in my heart. But as I watched the sunset, that hole felt lighter, filled with something new. Freedom. I'd spent decades bending for others, working 60-hour weeks to raise Ethan, swallowing my pride when Claire sneered at my efforts, even forgiving Ethan's cold texts until they crossed a line too far. Their plan to lock me away, to sell my home for their greed, was the final straw. I wasn't the weak mother they'd painted on that wedding forum. I was Susan Harper, a woman who'd built a life from nothing, who'd learned that love doesn't mean letting others trample your dignity. Standing up to them, canceling their wedding, exposing their scheme hadn't just saved my home, it had saved me. I sipped my wine, the tart sweetness a reminder of the life I was reclaiming. My phone lay silent, no more frantic calls from Ethan or fake tears from Claire. The Napa Valley community had spoken, their Facebook posts and Instagram comments tearing down the couple's facade. They tried to rob Susan of her home. One post read, shared 300 times. Claire's tearful video had backfired, her lies drowned out by the truth. I didn't need to add fuel to that fire. My single Instagram post from the spa, "Freedom tastes better than betrayal," had said enough. Its 500 likes a quiet nod from strangers who understood. The lesson wasn't just for me. It was for anyone who's ever given too much, only to be cast aside. Love isn't a blank check. It's a gift that demands respect. If someone takes your heart, your time, your money, and gives you nothing but pain, you don't owe them silence. You owe yourself strength. Set boundaries. Fight for your worth. I learned that the hard way. But standing here, with the Napa Valley stretching before me, I've never felt more alive. I looked out at the horizon, the last light fading. This wasn't about revenge, it was about reclaiming my life. And to anyone listening, who's felt the sting of betrayal, I want to share this moment with you. If my story resonates, hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and join us on the Unwanted Revenge. Your voice matters, and together, we can shine a light on the truths that set us free.